Thank you very much, Speaker. I have addressed this chamber on many occasions, starting back to when I was first elected to this place in 2006, with respect to the Slots at Racetrack program, and in particular the Rideau-Carleton Raceway, which is in the heart of my riding, and is a major employer, particularly for our rural community in the City of Ottawa. Over 1,000 people rely on the viability of that racetrack, many of whom, yes, are horsemen and women who are trainers and jockeys. Many others are farmers who rely on supplementing their income on the farm by selling hay. Several others actually make feed, particularly in my colleague from Glengarry, South, what's your riding? Stormont Dundas, South Glengarry, and as well as big animal veterinarians from Glengarry Prescott Russell. I get quite emotional on this issue, Speaker, because I know the people that work at that track. I regularly visit them to see how they're doing, and I regularly attend the Rideau-Carleton Raceway for a number of community-oriented events, whether that is the Gloucester Fair, Barrhaven Night at the races. Even this summer, Speaker, my daughter was in training. She was in a camp for horse racing this summer and did her first race with a horse, and I was quite proud of that. I have great friends that work that track. They're not millionaires, Speaker, not millionaire breeders like Dwight Duncan would have called them. They're real people who trying
to make a living.
Who are trying to make a living. So, can I just tell you who they are? Because they're my friends. I've got Sue and Gary MacDonald, two of the finest people I'll ever meet. He came here from Newfoundland to make a better life. I really respect that because I came from Nova Scotia, because Ontario was the place that was going to give me that better life, and it has. And this is a great province. Gary came up here, and he made a life for himself. In fact, he actually employed other people. That's kind of what we want when people come from other parts of the world to this province. We want them to be job creators, to help their neighbours. Gary had to let people go last year. His wife, Sue, works at the racetrack for the horsemen. She is probably the biggest community advocate I've ever met. Sue MacDonald, Sue, if you're watching at home, I love you. I'm going to give it my all one last shot. She collected 30,000 signatures, Speaker, on petitions to go to Grant Crack, to Matt LeMaire, and to many others. And poor old Sue, she thinks maybe they'll listen. Maybe they'll listen. And then I watch Grant Crack stand up there and totally ignore the hundreds of people, thousands probably, from his constituency who are demanding a return to the Slots at Racetrack program or something similar to it, which is what my party is proposing. That is why I will support the New Democrats. And I'm sorry that I am emotional, but I must tell you, when that spiteful little man, Dwight Duncan, decided to cancel the Slots at Racetrack program, I could not even speak to Dalton McGuinty at the time when I was at the airport with him. I thought, how hateful, how spiteful, how nasty a policy can you get when your main goal in life is to destroy good, hard-working, tax-paying, law-abiding citizens in rural Ontario. That is how upset I am at this policy. Let me tell you about some other people I know. Wyatt McWilliams, he's probably one of the best farmers in this country because he started Hay West. Wyatt has a farm, also in Glengarry Prescott Russell, who supplements his income by selling his hay. I've been out many times to his farm in Glengarry Prescott Russell, and I think he should have that same right as an entrepreneur who's also a farmer, who builds our cities because he is part of a great rural Ontario. And not only do they help build them, they help feed them. And if we're able to help them sustain their livelihood because we have a great world-class racing system here in Ontario, then we should actually encourage that. What I resent, Speaker, is for the members opposite to stand in their place and tell us it was a subsidy. Take the subsidy away when it was really a revenue-sharing arrangement, and then send back a subsidy in the form of a welfare payment. It's not sustainable, it is not fair, and it is not right. Whenever I travel across Canada, as I have with my colleague from Bruce Gray, Huron Bruce, as well as my colleague from Hamilton. At the moment, she's not at her seat. We were able to go to Edmonton, and we saw a world-class facility that was modeled, if you can believe it, on what we've done here in Ontario. If you go out through the southern United States and the Midwest of the United States, the people throughout this North America are looking at our system. They're modeling it off this system. And this government, this Liberal government, decided that they were going to destroy it. And I say to the member opposite, if you have a problem, leave. I am speaking on behalf of my 130,000 constituents, who some of them are losing their job because of your government's policies. And if I am excited and I'm passionate about this, I'd rather take that back to my community than the complacency that I just saw from the member of Glengarry, Prescott and Russell. I first brought this to the floor of the Assembly on August 30th, 2012, when I asked for the auditor to review the cancellation of the slots at racetrack program and the government's modernization program. I've spoken on numerous occasions, whether it was with Mr. McNaughton's private member's legislation, the member from Essex legislation. I've always stood here in my place to defend this program. Even previous to that, myself, my colleague Tim Hudak, who is our leader, we have spoken time and time again. Mr. Tropy will account for that, as will Mr. Whalen from the Ontario Harness Horse Association, about the importance of the Slots at Tracks program. I have a long-standing support of that community and that sector. It is one that has, I think, defined what is good about Ontario. There were problems with it, no question. That's why we're all trying to seek solutions. I was proud when there was all-party support for my motion. I was proud that I was able to work with colleagues in another political party to ensure that the Auditor General is going to review the modernization plan, and I'm proud to stand here today. I guess I could talk a little bit about how we got here, but I'm not really in the mood. I'm not really in the mood to pick on the NDP today. I'm not really in the mood to look at their motion and where they tried to, I think, be a bit devious about the wording with respect to my party. Absolutely. At the end of the day, I'm here with my colleague, Randy Pettipies, who is our critic. I'm here with my other colleagues who know these people, who understand the economic benefits, the $1 billion that they have created in terms of an industry, in revenues, how they've helped subsidize our healthcare and our education system, and the jobs that they have created in small town and rural Ontario. And if that's too hard for the member from Ajax and the member from Pickering to understand, and I can't apologize, Speaker. I know what I speak and I know what my colleagues speak. But I'll continue to stand here and I'll continue to defend the people I represent. I'll continue to support Jamie Copley. I'll continue to support Ted McDonald. I'll continue to support Chuck Eby. And I'll make sure that every day I stand in this Assembly, I remember who sent me. And I'll continue, whenever this issue is raised, to talk about how we can restore a viable horse racing community in the province of Ontario. And Speaker, on this I will close. In the last 2 years, my constituents have either had to euthanize their horses, they have either faced bankruptcy or had to move, or they've had to make a very difficult decision on whether or not they can feed their families, pay their mortgage, send their kid to school, or keep horse racing. Those are the real decisions that the people I represent had to make as a result of this hateful, spiteful decision. And I'll stand here today and I'll support it, and I'll stand here whenever there is going to be a motion on horse racing to defend my constituents. And Speaker, that's why I was sent here, and that's what I'll continue to do. And if that's uncomfortable for the member opposite, well, guess what? She better get used to it. Here, here.